Okay, hello again. I have some help with lighting now from my assistant. Maybe you can see better. So the next theme we're going to talk about from Act 2 is really huge. It's really important in this play, Hamlet. And it's also important in Shakespeare's concept of life in the world and as stage and acting in general. One of the famous quotes that Shakespeare is famous for saying is, all the world's a stage, and all men and women merely players on it. They have their exits and entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. So it's this idea that the whole world that we live in is simply a stage. This becomes very clear in Hamlet Act 2 when, in lines 457, he welcomes the players from the city to the castle, and he is suddenly very enthused. He realizes that he's heard one of the actors give a monologue before, and we see in the gloss here that the actor or the player gave a monologue about the murder of Pyrrhus, the Greek hero of King Priam of Troy in the Trojan War. And so Hamlet himself starts to go into that monologue, and then the first player takes over in line 476. Now, what this ends up being is kind of a foil of Hamlet. Pyrrhus in the Trojan War gets revenge on King Priam for killing his father Achilles. As we know, Hamlet's father has been murdered, and it's his duty to get revenge on Claudius by killing him. So Hamlet thinks of this monologue not for no reason. He wants this to inspire him to act in real life the way Pyrrhus acted in the Greek Trojan War. Okay, so that is a really significant part in the play. If we look forward to line 564, we see that this actually has a detrimental effect on Hamlet. What he does after seeing the player give the monologue is he starts to feel self-pity. He says in line 560, he says, "But in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit, that from her working all his visage wand, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing." So he says this actor was able to blend his soul with his own mind and to actually have real tears in his eyes as he delivered the monologue. So, and this is all fiction. He's only acting. So Hamlet begins to wonder why in his real life he can't actually act to get revenge on Claudius. So this kind of puzzles Hamlet, and it makes him feel like he's a coward and incapable of acting in real life. And so the connection between fiction and real life for him gets blurred together, and he has trouble reconciling those two. Okay. And in 568, he says, "What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have?" Okay. So this player, the actor on the stage, if he actually had a real motive to kill, to get revenge, would he actually be able to? Hamlet seems to think maybe he would, while he himself, Hamlet, can't do it. So he starts to feel self-pity in this scene. It's a very important scene. However, this scene is also very important because, to bring up our last theme of Act 2, he has the genius idea or strategy to find out through a play if Claudius is indeed guilty of murdering his father, King Hamlet. Okay? So what he does in line 548, he talks to the player, the actor, and he says to him, can you play the murder of Gonzago? 546. And the player says, "Aye, my lord." And Hamlet says, "We'll have it tomorrow night. You could, for a need, study a speech of some 12 or 16 lines, which I would set down and insert in it. Could you not?" "Aye, my lord." So what Hamlet has done here is he's decided to insert 12 or 16 lines of his own writing into a famous play called The Murder of Gonzago. And in the lines that Hamlet will insert into the script, his uncle Claudius's guilt or innocence will be revealed. Okay, so Hamlet decides that in this closing monologue, line 613, the very end, okay, "I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king." So with the play, with Claudius in attendance, he is going to watch Claudius's reaction to the play to decide if Claudius is guilty. Okay? So this is a really important strategy in the play of Hamlet and a technique of Shakespeare, who more often than not, in just about all of his plays, if not most of them, he will insert a play within his own play. And that play will reveal a bigger theme and a kind of complication of what plays mean to us as people. Okay? So he puts a play in his plays to show how the actors in the play respond to fiction, how they respond to performance. Okay? To kind of mock and poke fun at how we ourselves interact with performance and fiction. So it's a very clever and complex dynamic that Shakespeare uses to test our concept of real life and fiction on stage. Okay, and we wonder as Hamlet plans on this strategy to find out if Claudius is guilty, we wonder why he's doubting the ghost of his father who told him that Claudius killed him. Okay, does Hamlet really not believe the ghost of his father, or is he just procrastinating? Is he just finding reasons to delay the act of revenge against his uncle for killing his father? All right, so there'll be an activity I'll be assigning later today about that Act 2. So look forward to that on Google Classroom. And good job reading Act 2. It is tricky. It's one of the most difficult acts of the play, if not the most. And if you got through it, again, using your No Fear Shakespeare PDF on Google Classroom, that's great. That's very helpful. And again, watch the videos that I put on the slideshow. The videos do help, and they help dramatize and show you how this would look on stage. So use those. And have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.